for inviting me to deliver this inaugural lecture. Unfortunately, as some of you might know, I graduated from the university across the street. But today, I am with Ateneo and I'm wearing blue. Napakabigat naman itong paksa na binigay sa akin. Kaya siguro dapat tayo mag-seryoso kagad. Are you ready? Yes. Sabi nila, kapag sumama ka sa matalino, maging matalino ka. Kapag sumama ka sa barumbado, maging barumbado ka. Sumama ka kaya sa akin, baka sakaling maging akin ka. Kung wala kang pambili ng regalo ngayong Pasko, bigyan mo na lang ng kiss at sabihin mo, nga ayaw mo ng regalo, ibalik mo. Kung may nagtingin sa iyo ng kiss at hindi mo siya type, sabihin mo, pagbibigyan kita basta goodbye kiss. Kung may pangit ka na nagsabing, pwede bang manligaw, sagutin mo, sure, basta hindi sa akin. This speech is entitled Youth Activism Across the Electoral Cycle, Defining Youth Participation. First, let us define the term political participation, and then we'll define the more specific term of youth activism. Political participation is defined as those actions by private citizens by which they seek to influence or to support government and politics. In more detail, it means any dimension of activity that is either designed directly to influence government agencies in the policy process or indirectly to impact civil society or which attempt to alter systematic patterns of social behavior. The history of youth political participation consists of the following. Number one, conventional participation, which conform to norms and traditions. In the 1940s to the 1960s, the structured and lawful activities took such forms as voting, lobbying, party affiliation, joining political organizations, parties or meetings, and other activities related to the electoral process. Number two, unconventional participation. In the late 1960s and the 1970s, political participation took unconventional forms such as civil disobedience, political protest, or political violence. These more aggressive, more assertive, and even unlawful forms consisted of petitions, demonstrations, boycotts, rent strike, tax strike, unofficial industrial strike, occupation of buildings, blocking of traffic, damage to property, or even personal violence. Number three, alternative participation after the 1990s, which were sometimes unofficial and informal. Today, youth participation takes the form first advocated by the classic authority, Alexis de Tocqueville. We now take the so-called communitarian approach, which includes civil activities, volunteering, and social engagements. This communitarian approach is represented by Partido Cruzada, which stands for Christian Union for Socialist and Democratic Advancement, founded and based in this university. Why should you engage in youth participation? There are two benefits. First, youth participation helps to develop the entire society or community. Second, youth participation helps to promote the civic and political life of young people. More specifically, the main benefit of youth participation is that it produces positive psychosocial results by enhancing open-mindedness, personal responsibility, social and civic competence, moral and ego development, and a sense of advocacy and self-esteem. It also contributes to organizational, community, and political development. Defining youth activism. Having defined youth participation, let me now proceed to its most dramatic form, youth activism. In an international youth parliament, Oxfam defined activism as efforts to create changes in the behavior of institutions, or organizations through action strategies such as lobbying, advocacy, negotiations, protest, campaigning, and raising awareness. Youth activism produces civic engagement because it serves as a vehicle for expressions of dissent, attempts to effect change, or efforts to place issues on the political agenda. The most familiar perspective of youth activism is its generational approach because of its focus on events and social movements. Activism does not involve as many people as other civic activities such as voting. But it has been correctly pointed out that the importance of youth activism cannot be measured by participation rates alone. Youth activism has a strong impact, as shown, for example, by protests and demonstrations connected with the anti-globalization movement. Thus, activism has peer effects, raising young people's awareness of issues and expanding their perceptions of what may be achieved. Is activism a good thing for the individual or the society? Youth activism is good, even when it consists of different social expressions such as right-wing and immigrant skinhead movements and sweatshop campaigns. The aims and practices of religiously inspired extremist groups and activities aimed at social change among the younger members of mainstream religious organizations. Hence, youth activism consists of a complex array of activities that are inherent parts of civil society and which represent many complexities and contradictions. In broad terms, activism can be classified into progressive and non-progressive activism. Progressive activism centers around human rights and social justice issues. Non-progressive activism centers around the youth who feel marginalized or threatened and seek to change the policies and behavior of powerful institutions with the use of media and ICT, meaning information and communication technology. With Partido Cruzada, I strongly urge you to consider participating in the following activities. Bullet, protest events and direct actions, whether violent or non-violent. Consider lang naman eh, hindi ko man sinabi gawin brother. Bullet, advocacy campaigns to change the policies and behavior of powerful institutions, including the national government and transnational corporations. Ako nga sa Senado lang ako, nagsisira ng ulo ko kung minsan. Magpatay na talaga ako ng tao. Minsan malikutan nyo. That's why I've included even violent events and direct action. Sometimes action speaks better than words. Bullet, consumer boycotts and other uses of market power to effect change. Bullet, information gathering and dissemination to attract media attention and raise public consciousness. Activism in Philippine new media. The contemporary history of new media began in 2009 during the presidential campaign in Iran, when the so-called Twitter revolution emerged. It inaugurated the new phenomenon called citizen journalism. Aided by Iranian bloggers, eventually the Arab world rose in open revolt against the authorities. In 2010, Tunisia witnessed a full-scale revolt in the form of the Jasmine Revolution. Within less than a year, the so-called Arab Spring led to the downfall of political leaders in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Yemen, Syria, Bahrain, and Iraq. National governments today are struggling to support a disproportionately large, young, and dependent population, which experts call the youth bulge.